picture me?" Anna struggled, her eyes darting nervously as patients and nurses passed. "Victor, please," he shoved her. Not hard enough to send her flying, but enough that her back struck the wall. The pain shot through her body, sharp and terrifying. Gasps erupted from nearby. A nurse shouted, "Sir, what do you think you're doing?" Anna collapsed to her knees, clutching her stomach, her face contorted in pain. "The baby," she whispered before everything around her blurred into chaos. Alarms rang. Nurses rushed. Anna was whisked away on a stretcher, her sobs echoing. Down the corridor, Victor followed, his face pale, but his eyes cold. It was an accident. He snapped at the staff. She tripped. "Don't exaggerate this." But no one believed him. Inside the emergency room, Anna fought to stay conscious. The baby's heartbeat faltered on the monitor. A team of doctors swarmed her, calling out medical terms she couldn't follow. Just when it seemed the chaos couldn't grow more intense, a commanding voice cut through the storm. What happened here? The room fell silent. A tall man in his 60s stepped in, dressed in surgical scrubs. His silver hair gleamed under the harsh lights. But his presence carried more weight than anyone else in the hospital. Dr. Harrison Cole, chief surgeon, billionaire, philanthropist, respected worldwide for his medical innovations, and Anna's godfather. Anna's eyes fluttered open. She whispered, "Godfather," before slipping into unconsciousness. Harrison's jaw tightened. He turned to the nurse. "Get her stabilized. Prepare for emergency surgery if necessary." Then his eyes locked on Victor. "You," he said coldly. "Out. Now." Victor bristled. "Do you know who I am?" "Yes," Harrison replied, his voice like steel, "and I know exactly what you've done." Victor paced outside the ER, furious. When Dr. Harrison emerged, his face grimmed. Victor straightened. "Well, is she fine? The baby?" Harrison folded his arms. "They're stable. For now. But tell me something, Victor. Why was my goddaughter wheeled in here bruised and terrified? Witnesses saying you pushed her." Victor scoffed. "Witnesses exaggerate. Anna's clumsy. She fell." Harrison's eyes narrowed. "I've known Anna since she was a child. She wouldn't just fall. And I've seen men like you before, drunk on money and power, thinking they own the people they marry. Let me be clear. You will not come near her again without my permission." Victor's jaw clenched. "You can't keep a husband from his wife." "I can," Harrison said softly but firmly. "Because unlike you, I actually have power that matters. One call, and your empire crumbles." Victor's face darkened, but a flicker of doubt crossed his eyes. For the first time, he realized Harrison wasn't just a surgeon. He was a billionaire with more influence than Victor could ever buy. Over the next days, Anna remained under close care. Harrison never left her side, ensuring both mother and child recovered. Victor was barred from the ward, his visits denied. Enraged, Victor called lawyers, threatened lawsuits, even tried to bribe hospital staff. But Harrison was untouchable. Every threat Victor made, Harrison countered with cold, surgical precision. Then Harrison struck back. Using his network, he began digging into Victor's business. What he found was damning. Fraudulent contracts, tax evasion, employee mistreatment, a perfect storm of corruption. When Victor tried to confront Harrison again, Harrison slid a folder across the table. "This is what I'll hand to thee. Authorities, if you take one step closer to Anna, consider it a scalpel, and you're the tumor I'm ready to cut out." Victor's face went pale. Meanwhile, Anna slowly regained her strength. With Harrison's support, she began to rediscover her voice. One evening, she looked at him with tears in her eyes. "I was so afraid, Godfather. I thought I had no one." Harrison squeezed her hand gently. "You're never alone, Anna. You have me, and soon you'll have your child. Together, we'll make sure Victor can never hurt you again." The final blow came swiftly in court. Harrison's lawyers presented everything: medical reports of Anna's injuries, witness statements from the hospital, and evidence of Victor's financial crimes. The once untouchable millionaire stood, trembling as his empire collapsed in front of flashing cameras. The judge's words were final. "Victor Reynolds, you are stripped of guardianship rights, fined heavily for fraud, and placed under criminal investigation for domestic abuse. Anna, cradling her newborn daughter, sat beside Harrison. Tears streamed down her face, but this time they were tears of relief. Victor was escorted out in handcuffs. His empire gone, his reputation destroyed. Harrison placed a protective arm around Anna. Your new life begins now. Safe. One where love, not fear, raises your child. Anna kissed her baby's forehead. For the first time in years, she smiled with genuine hope. Her godfather had given her more than protection. He had given her freedom, and Victor. He learned the hard way that money can buy power, but it can't buy redemption. The sun spilled across the sprawling glass windows of the Beaumont estate, a mansion that overlooked rolling green lawns and the lake shimmering in the distance. To the outside world, Victor Beaumont was the dream young, successful, polished in every sense of the word. He was the kind of man who made headlines for his luxury investments and charity donations, though anyone who knew him privately understood that his generosity was more about control than compassion. Inside that golden palace lived Anna Beaumont, his wife of 2 years. Anna had grown up in a middle-class home filled with warmth, music, and the comforting chaos of family dinners. Her marriage to Victor had felt like a fairy tale in the beginning. Champagne proposals, Paris vacations, a wedding dress flown in from Milan, but those sparkling illusions dimmed quickly. Now 6 months pregnant, Anna sat in the grand dining room at a table that could seat 20, staring at a plate of untouched fruit. She rubbed her swollen belly gently, whispering softly, "Don't worry, little one. Mommy's here. Mommy's strong." Her thoughts were interrupted by the sharp echo of leather shoes against marble floors. Victor entered, crisp in a tailored suit, his hair slicked back with precision. He glanced at her, then at his watch. "You're still in pajamas?" he asked, his tone dripping with disappointment rather than concern. Anna tried to smile, hoping to soften his mood. "I didn't sleep well. The baby's been active." Victor poured himself a coffee, ignoring her excuse. "I have investors coming this evening. I need you to look presentable, Anna. No, softness, you understand? They need to see you as an extension of me, not some tired housewife who can't. Keep herself together." The words stung, but she kept quiet. She had learned silence often prevented worse outcomes. Victor thrived on control, on seeing people bend under the weight of his expectations. He sat at the head of the table, scrolling on his phone, and muttered, "Sometimes I wonder if this pregnancy was a mistake. You've become difficult, emotional, weak." Anna's hand froze mid-rub over her stomach. Tears threatened to well up, but she blinked them back. For the sake of her child, she couldn't crumble now. "Victor," she whispered, her voice trembling but steady enough. "To stand, this isn't just about you. It's about us. About our family." He laughed coldly. "Family. Anna, I am the family. You are the accessory." The words cut deeper than any knife. She lowered her gaze, hiding her pain, but her heart screamed in silence. That night when Victor left for his meetings, Anna sat alone by the nursery room they had barely started to decorate. She touched the tiny crib rail with trembling fingers, imagining her child's future. "Please," she prayed softly, "let this child have a better life than me." And in that quiet moment, though she didn't know it yet, destiny was already setting into motion the storm that would tear apart her golden illusion and reveal truths. Buried deep beneath the wealth and marble, the following morning, Anna awoke to the sound of Victor's voice booming down the hallway. He was on a call, angry, sharp, commanding as always. Even before breakfast, he was already barking orders at someone unfortunate enough to be on the other end. Anna eased herself out of bed, her growing belly making even simple movements slower. She wrapped her robe around her frame and walked to the balcony. The early breeze carried the scent of blooming jasmine from the garden below. For a brief moment, she inhaled deeply, trying to ground herself in something that felt human, real. But peace was always short-lived in this house. Victor stormed into the bedroom, tossing his phone onto the bed. "Incompetent fools. Sometimes I think I'm the only one in this world capable of doing anything right. Anna hesitated, her hand instinctively resting on her stomach. Maybe you could take a break, Victor. Stress isn't good for you or for the baby. He spun toward her, his eyes cold and sharp. Don't lecture me about stress, Anna. You wouldn't understand. Your entire life before me was average at best. I gave you this. He gestured broadly to the opulent room, and you can't even manage to keep yourself from complaining. Her lips parted, a protest on the tip of her tongue, but she swallowed it down.
Oh no.
Over the past months, Anna had begun to notice how each exchange with Victor chipped away at her, first subtly, then violently. The charm that once swept her off her feet was now replaced by disdain, criticism, and an air of superiority she couldn't penetrate. Later that afternoon, Victor insisted they attend a charity luncheon hosted by one of his corporate allies. Anna, exhausted, tried to refuse. Victor, I really don't feel well today. My ankles are swollen. I've barely slept. He cut her off sharply. Enough excuses. You'll come. Do you know what people would say if my wife doesn't show? They'll think I can't control my own household, and I won't have that embarrassment. At the luncheon, under the chandeliers and clinking glasses, Victor played the role of the perfect gentleman. He smiled, charmed, toasted. But when Anna's hand trembled as she tried to lift her glass of water, he leaned in with a quiet hiss. Stop drawing attention to yourself. You look weak. Guests saw none of it. They saw only the dazzling couple, the successful millionaire and his elegant wife. But Anna, behind her smile, felt the fractures widening inside her soul. That night, back at the estate, she stood alone before the bathroom mirror, staring at her reflection. Her eyes looked dull, lifeless, as though they no longer belonged to her. She placed both hands on her belly and whispered, I have to stay strong for you. But how long can I keep pretending? The cracks in their marriage were no longer invisible. They were widening. Soon they would shatter the fragile glass facade of their so-called perfect life. The Beaumont stayed gleamed that evening as luxury cars lined the driveway. Victor was hosting a private dinner for investors a night. He promised would cement his empire. For Anna, it was yet another performance, when she was too weary to play. She wore a silk gown Victor had ordered for her, that would fit uncomfortably around her swollen belly. As she descended the staircase, she could already hear the hum of laughter, the clinking of crystal glasses, and Victor's voice floating proudly above them all. Ah, there she is, Victor announced as Anna entered the grand dining hall. My beautiful wife soon to deliver the heir to the Beaumont legacy. The investors applauded politely, some smiling, others merely raising glasses. Anna forced a smile and took her place beside Victor at the long polished table. She whispered, Victor, please don't exaggerate. He cut her off, the smile never leaving his lips. Play the part, Anna. It's all anyone wants from you. The meal began. Steak, lobster, and delicate soufflés. Anna's stomach turned at the sight and smell of the heavy dishes. She reached for a piece of bread, hoping it would settle her nausea. But Victor noticed. Bread? That's all you're eating? He asked, his voice loud enough to draw attention. I'm just not very hungry tonight, she murmured. Victor's eyes narrowed, his smile faltering for a moment. You embarrass me? These people came to see strength, not weakness. A few guests shifted uncomfortably, pretending not to hear. Anna felt the heat rise in her cheeks, humiliation burning deep. She whispered, Victor, please, don't do this now. But he leaned closer, his voice like ice. You think carrying my child excuses you from doing your duty? You're nothing without me, Anna? Nothing? Anna froze, her heart racing. For a moment she thought she might faint. She pushed her chair back gently, whispering, Excuse me, and hurried from the room. Gasps and murmurs rippled among the guests, but Victor only laughed, raising his glass. Pregnancy hormones, he explained dismissively. You know how women get. In the powder room down the hall, Anna clutched. The marble sink, tears streaming down her face. She looked at her reflection in the pale skin. The trembling lips Anne hardly recognized herself. For months she had endured the cutting words, the coldness, the isolation. But tonight, something inside her snapped. She pressed both hands against her belly and whispered fiercely, "I won't let him break me. Not anymore." Unbeknownst to Victor, one of the investors, a quiet, silver-haired man named Richard, had witnessed Anna's retreat. His thoughtful eyes followed her suspicion. Blooming. Richard wasn't just an investor. He was connected to someone from Anna's past, someone Victor had no idea existed. The dinner continued. But for Anna, the facade was gone. The glass walls of her marriage had shattered, and what lay beyond was a storm neither she nor Victor could escape. 2 days after the dinner, Anna's body gave her no choice. She woke before dawn with sharp pains rolling through her stomach. Fear gripped her chest. Her baby was coming far too early. She tried calling for Victor, but he wasn't home. He had left after midnight for a business emergency. Clutching her phone with trembling hands, Anna dialed the estate driver. Within minutes, she was being rushed to the hospital, her breaths ragged, her fingers white around the seatbelt. Every bump in the road felt like fire tearing through her. When Victor finally arrived hours later, Anna was already in a hospital gown, hooked to monitors, her face pale with exhaustion. He swept into the room, not with concern, but with irritation. "You couldn't wait, could you?" he snapped. "He had to drag me out of a deal worth millions." Anna's eyes widened. "Victor, I'm in labor. Our child is coming too soon." "And all you care about is your money?" He loomed over her, jaw clenched, his voice a dangerous whisper. "Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is for me? The press will spin this as weakness. A sickly wife, a premature heir. You've ruined everything." Tears streamed down Anna's face. "You heartless man. This is your baby too." The monitor beeped frantically as her stress spiked. A nurse rushed in, gently urging, "Sir, please step back. She needs calm, not shouting." "But I'd—" Victor shoved past her, gripping the side of Anna's bed. "If this child doesn't survive, Anna, it will be your fault." In his rage, he slammed his hand against the bed rail, startling Anna so badly that she tried to sit up only for her body to give way. She slipped, and in the scuffle, Victor's arm caught her, pushing her backward. She fell hard against the edge of the bed, a cry ripping from her throat. The room froze. The nurse shouted, "Security, get him out." Psst. Anna gasped in pain, clutching her belly. Victor staggered back, his eyes wide for the first time, not with remorse, but with shock. "That others had seen? I didn't mean," but before he could finish, a commanding voice cut through the chaos. "Enough." The doors swung open, and in walked a tall man in a surgeon's coat, his presence radiating power. His silver hair gleamed under the harsh lights, his sharp eyes blazing with fury. Anna's tear-filled gaze lifted in, for the first time in months. She felt hope. "Godfather," she whispered. Victor turned, confused. "Who the hell are you?" The surgeon stepped forward, his voice like steel. "I'm Dr. Alexander Ward, head surgeon of this hospital, billionaire, more importantly Anna's godfather. You just laid hands on my goddaughter." The entire room went silent. Nurses and staff stood frozen, watching the standoff. Victor's arrogance faltered, his lips parting but no words coming out. For the first time, the balance of power shifted. And Victor Beaumont, the man who thought he controlled everything, realized he had just made the worst mistake of his life. The air in the hospital room was thick with tension. Victor stood stiff, his face a mask of disbelief, while Dr. Alexander Ward towered over him, every word dripping with restrained fury. "You dare push a pregnant woman, my goddaughter, while she's in labor." Dr. Ward's voice cut like glass. "Do you even understand the line you just crossed?" Victor's pride flared, tried to sneer, though his hands trembled. "Listen, Dr. Godfather, whatever you rue, have no right to interfere in my marriage. Anna is my wife. What happens between us is none of your wife." Dr. Ward barked out a cold laugh. "A wife is someone you protect. Victor, someone you cherish. What you've been doing is abuse." His gaze sharpened. "And abuse is my business, especially when it puts her life and my grandgoddaughter's life in danger." Victor tried to step closer, but 2 security guards appeared at Dr. Ward's signal, blocking his path. Nurses bustled around Anna, steadying her, checking her vitals, one whispering reassurance into her ear. Anna looked up, her voice barely a whisper. "Godfather, please, don't let him near me again." Those words ignited something primal in Dr. Ward. He turned to the staff. "Effective immediately. Mr. Beaumont is banned from this ward. If he steps 1 foot inside, he'll be escorted out or arrested." The room buzzed with gasps. Victor's jaw dropped. "Arrested? You can't." "I can," Dr. Ward snapped. "I will. This hospital isn't just under my authority, Victor. I own it." Victor's smug facade cracked. He had built his empire by intimidating weaker men. Standing in front of Alexander Ward, a man wealthier, more powerful, backed by a reputation for ruthless integrity, Victor felt small. "Do yourself a favor, Beaumont," Dr. Ward continued, stepping so close that Victor had to tilt his head back. "Leave, now, before I expose you for what you are." Victor clenched his fists, his pride screaming to resist. But the stares of staff, the weight of the moment, and the looming presence of security left him cornered. He hissed through gritted teeth, "This isn't over, old man." Dr. Ward's lips curled into the faintest smile. "Well, you're right about that. This is only the beginning." Security ushered Victor out as his protests echoed down the hallway. Anna, still trembling, clutched Dr. Ward's hand. "You came," she whispered. His stern gaze softened as he brushed her hair back gently. "I promised your parents I'd protect you. I failed too long by letting that monster near you. But not anymore. From this moment, Anna, you're under my care," a nurse announced. "Her contractions are progressing. She's going into full labor." Dr. Ward straightened, his commanding presence filling the room. "Then let's bring this baby into the world safely." He squeezed Anna's hand once more, and afterward, we'll deal with Victor Beaumont. Permanently. The delivery room lights blazed white, reflecting off steel instruments and pale hospital walls. Anna gripped the bed rails as another contraction tore through her, her cries echoing. Nurses rushed around, preparing equipment. Dr. Ward stood at the foot of the bed, fully scrubbed in, his silver hair tucked under his surgical cap, his eyes sharp with both determination and emotion. He had operated on kings and billionaires. But this moment, the fight for his goddaughter and her unborn child felt like the most important surgery of his life. "Anna," he said firmly, his deep voice grounding her, "you are stronger than you know. Focus on me. Breathe. We're going to bring your daughter safely into this world." Anna nodded weakly, sweat trickling down her forehead. Her hand searched blindly until Dr. Ward clasped it, steady as stone. Another contraction surged. She pushed. With a scream, her whole body straining. Nurses counted down, encouraging her. The monitor beeped rapidly, her baby's heartbeat struggled, and steadied. "Come on, little one," Dr. Ward muttered under his breath. "Fight." After an agonizing hour, a piercing cry filled the room. The baby emerged, tiny but alive, her lungs screaming life into the sterile air. "It's a girl." A nurse shouted, tears in her own eyes. Anna collapsed back, sobbing with relief. "My baby, my little angel." Dr. Ward carefully handed the newborn to Anna, his hands almost reverent. "Meet your daughter, Anna. She's a warrior, just like her mother." Anna cradled the fragile bundle against her chest, whispering lullabies through her tears. The room glowed with quiet joy until the doors burst open. Victor stormed in, his face twisted with rage. 2 security guards chased after him, but he shoved them aside, his voice thundering. "Give me my child," he roared, striding toward the bed. Anna gasped, clutching the baby tighter. "No, stay away from her." Victor's eyes burned with greed. "That's my heir. She belongs to me." "You're nothing without me, Anna, you. And that old fool can't take what's mine." Dr. Ward stepped forward, blocking Victor's path, his voice like ice. "One more step and I'll have you dragged out in handcuffs. You've done enough." "Damage," Victor sneered. "Handcuffs. Do you know who I am?" "I own half the city." "Correction," Dr. Ward cut him off. "You think you do? But while you were busy terrorizing your wife, I had lawyers digging through your empire. Fraud, tax evasion, bribery. By the time I'm finished, you'll be lucky to own a bus ticket." Victor froze. His arrogance flickered, replaced by panic, but only for a moment. He'd lunged, trying to snatch the baby from Anna's arms. No, Anna screamed. Before he could touch them, Dr. Ward moved with surprising speed for his age, his arm shooting out to block Victor's wrist. The crack of bone echoed as Victor yelped, stumbling back. Security tackled him to the ground, his shouts filling the room. Anna clutched her baby, trembling, whispering, "You'll never have her. Never." Victor struggled as cuffs snapped around his wrists. His voice cracked with desperation. "You can't do this. She's mine. She's mine." Dr. Ward leaned down, his glare so cold it silenced even Victor's wild thrashing. "She was never. Yours, Anna, and this child are free from you now. And soon the world will know exactly who Victor Beaumont really is." Victor's eyes darted around, realizing his empire was slipping from his grasp. For the first time in his life, he wasn't in control, he was powerless. As guards dragged him away, his voice echoed down the corridor. This isn't over. Anna knew, deep in her heart, that it was. The hospital was calm again. Rested in her private recovery suite, her newborn daughter sleeping peacefully in a cradle beside her. She stroked the baby's tiny hand, tears of both exhaustion and joy in her eyes. For the first time in months, she felt safe. Dr. Ward entered quietly, his presence commanding but gentle. He carried a leather folder under his arm, his expression serious. Anna looked up. "Is it over?" she whispered, her voice fragile. "Not yet," Dr. Ward said, pulling up a chair. "But it will be soon." Victor thought money gave him power. What he didn't realize is that I have more resources, more allies, and more reasons to bring him down. Anna blinked. "Allies?" Ward nodded. "The moment I saw your bruises, I made calls. Federal investigators, old friends in finance, people who've been waiting years to nail Victor. I gave them everything I had on him. Man, believe me, I had plenty." Meanwhile, across town, Victor sat in a lavish penthouse suite, his wrist bandaged, his face twisted with fury. His lawyer paced the room nervously. "You don't understand," Victor bellowed. "They can't touch me. My money, my Namit, protects me." The lawyer shook his head. "Not anymore. The IRS, the SEC, and half a dozen prosecutors have opened investigations. Bank accounts are frozen. Your business partners are cutting ties. Investors are fleeing." Victor slammed his fist into the glass table, shattering it. "Lies, I'll rebuild everything. That old man can't destroy me." But as he spoke, his phone buzzed, news alerts flashing. Breaking. Millionaire Victor Beaumont accused of domestic abuse and fraud. Authorities freeze Beaumont assets amid investigation. Victor's face paled as he realized the world was already turning against him. Back at the hospital, Dr. Ward stood by the window, looking out at the city skyline. "You're not just my goddaughter, Anna. You're family, and family deserves justice." Anna wiped her tears, clutching her baby. "Don't want revenge. I just want peace. I want her to grow up without fear." Ward turned to her, his eyes softening. "And that's exactly why Victor will never touch you again. I'll make sure of it." The next day, the courthouse buzzed with media. Cameras flashed as Victor was escorted in handcuffs, his once flawless suit disheveled. His arrogance was fading, but he still forced a smirk, trying to look untouchable. Inside, Anna sat quietly with Dr. Ward by her side. The baby slept in her arms. The sight of Victor shackled gave her strength she hadn't felt in years. The judge entered, slamming the gavel. "Court is now in session. Victor Beaumont, you are charged with fraud, tax evasion, assault, and domestic abuse." Victor sneered. "This is a circus. I'll be out by morning." But then the prosecutor stepped forward. "Your Honor, we have testimony from Anna Beaumont, and financial records provided by Dr. Richard Ward, proving years of corruption." Victor's smirk faltered as documents were laid out: secret accounts, forged signatures, bribes. Every dirty secret, he thought, buried now, lay exposed for the world to see. Dr. Ward leaned toward him, his voice low but lethal. "The empire you built on lies is gone, and this time no one will crawl to save you." Victor's jaw clenched. For the first time, true fear filled his eyes. The courtroom was silent, thick with tension. Reporters scribbled furiously. Cameras clicked outside the doors. But inside, every eye was locked on the woman who had once been invisible. Anna rose slowly, her hands trembling slightly as she adjusted her shawl around her shoulders. In her arms, her baby slept soundly. Dr. Ward gave her a reassuring nod, his presence like a fortress at her side. The judge looked down at her kindly. "Mrs. Beaumont, you may proceed with your testimony." Anna inhaled deeply. Her voice, though soft at first, carried through the chamber with surprising strength. "Your Honor, and everyone here, I married Victor because I believed in the man he pretended to be: charming, powerful, loving. But behind closed doors, he became someone else. He became a monster." Gasps echoed through the room. Victor smirked, leaning back as though her words were meaningless. But Anna continued. "He belittled me. He isolated me. He made me feel worthless when I was carrying his child hour. He pushed me in this very hospital. He didn't care if I lived. He didn't care if our baby survived." Her voice cracked, but she steadied herself, tightening her hold on the infant. "I am standing here today, not as his wife, not as his victim, but as a mother. I will never let my daughter grow up thinking this is love. I will not let her believe power means control or that silence means strength. Today, I speak for myself and for her." The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Victor shot up from his seat, his mask of arrogance finally breaking. "She's lying. She's just a nobody I gave everything to. Without me, she's nothing." The judge banged the gavel. "Order, Mr. Beaumont. Sit down." But Victor's outburst only sealed his fate. The jury saw not a powerful businessman, but a cruel, desperate man cornered by truth. Anna looked directly at him, her voice firm now. "You thought I was weak, but you were wrong. I am stronger than you will ever be." Her words cut through the courtroom like steel. Even Victor fell silent, his jaw tightening as if the weight of her defiance finally crushed what little pride he had left. Aftermath. When the session adjourned, reporters swarmed the hallways. Headlines already screamed, "Millionaire's wife. Breaks silence, domestic abuse, and fraud exposed." Victor Beaumont faces ruin after wife's testimony. Anna stepped out of the courthouse flanked by Dr. Ward. She clutched her baby close, the sun warming her face. For the first time in years, she felt free. Dr. Ward placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You've done more than survive, Anna. You've won." She looked down at her daughter and smiled faintly. "No, we won." And as Victor was led away in chains, his empire collapsing behind him, Anna walked forward into a new life, one built not on fear, but on strength, love, and hope. The soft chime of laughter echoed across the lakefront villa. Sunlight danced. On the water, children's voices carried on the breeze. In the garden, Anna sat beneath a wide oak tree with her baby now, a toddling little girl, taking her first wobbly steps on the grass. "Come on, sweetheart," Yana encouraged her. "Smile wide," her arms open. The little one giggled, plopping onto the ground. Then pushing herself up again with stubborn determination. From the patio, Dr. Ward watched with quiet pride. His once intense features softened every time the little girl toddled forward. To him, she wasn't just Anna's child. She was family. A new light after years of darkness. He joined Anna in the garden, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. "She has your spirit," he said warmly. "Determined, unbreakable." Anna looked up. At him, her eyes shining, "and your strength. She grow up knowing what real love and protection looks like, thanks to you." Dr. Ward's gaze softened further. "No, Anna. Thanks to you. You found your voice. You showed her what true courage is." Donna sighed, looking toward the horizon. "There were nights I thought I wouldn't survive. That Victor had taken everything. From me. But standing in that courtroom, holding her in my arms, I realized he hadn't taken the one thing that mattered. My will to fight." The little girl squealed with triumph as she stumbled into Anna's arms. Both adults laughed, their joy unshakable. Meanwhile, far away in a cold gray prison, Victor Beaumont sat alone in his cell. His empire was gone, his wealth stripped. his name disgraced. The walls closed in on him, his only company the whispers of inmates who once admired his fortune but now mocked his downfall. His arrogance had built him an empire, but his cruelty had destroyed it. And now he was forgotten. Back at the villa as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of gold and pink, Anna held her daughter close, whispering softly, "We're free now, and nothing can hurt us again." Dr. Ward looked out over the peaceful water, a rare smile tugging at his lips. For the first time in years, Anna's life was no longer about surviving, but about living. The camera panned out slowly, capturing the serenity of the moment. A mother, her child, and a godfather who had kept his promise to protect them. The story of fear and betrayal had ended, placed by a future of hope, resilience, and love.